We're going to start the Water Sewer Commissioners meeting at 7:13. It's April 4th, 2003. We're going to start off with the Systems Manager, Water and Sewer report.
We don't have water because
No, I don't.
Steve's computer, the hard drive blew, so we can't recover any of his data or anything. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's actually the hard drive out on the desk there that we gotta wait for IT to install.
All right, so we got the February and March sewer reports.
Yeah, so start with February. For February, we had 1.47 inches of rain. Centigro hauled off 104,400 gallons. Flow was 6,481,168 gallons for an average of 231,471 gallons per day. We wasted 164,885 gallons for an average of 5,889 gallons per day. We used 405 gallons of alum, 369 kilowatt hours of electricity, and the river average was 578.598 cubic feet per second. Average temperatures for February, we're awaiting the annual laboratory equipment calibration proposal, and we passed the first quarter toxicity testing. Any questions on that one?
Nope. Nope.
For March, we had 5.17 inches of rain. Centigro hauled off 95,700 gallons. Flow was 383,729 gallons for an average of 270,443 gallons a day. Wasted 147,560 gallons for an average of 4,760 gallons a day. Used 273 gallons of alum, 365 kilowatt hours of electricity, and the river average was 275.266 cubic feet per second. We're waiting the EPA study 43. The UD system was put online for April and for the October permitting. Alright, so now you guys have the deal of minutes.
Hello? Hey, do you remember about the meeting?
So we have the, these are older meeting minutes, so to get them posted on the website, we had a couple there were gaps that had to be pieced together from our notes and the video. So we've got,
This is April 2nd, 2019.
yep. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2019.
Yeah, they were starting the meeting, so.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Commissioners meeting August 26th, 2020.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from August 26th, 2020.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye. I make
June
a
18th, 2020.
second.
Hmm?
I seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Commissioners meeting May 26th, 2021.
Second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion for the June 14th, 2021 meeting minutes.
All right, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we got this current one now.
Hmm?
So we got the current one.
All right, February 2nd. 7th rather, excuse me, 2023. Make a motion, you wanna finish reading it?
Yeah, I just want to take a quick look.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make an amendment on page 2. The word management should be manage.
And page 2, what is it?
On page 2, the first line, it says it would be good for customers to see that we manage the most assets in town, so instead of management, it says we management the most assets in town.
Yeah, that doesn't,
And I'm just gonna add another line. It says Keith Lonnie has a question about uniforms and why there is no money spent. No money spent in a budget line item. When we sign bills every week. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we accept the February 7th, 2023 meeting minutes as amended.
as amended. Alright, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, so that's it. Alright.
Yeah. And then we just got the budget.
Is that calling that called?
Yeah, I think he's still on the phone with him. So I think he already ended up at FinCom. I think
Yeah.
this has already gone through.
Yeah, they went to FinCom and it was approved. So it's on the other page.
Did you guys approve minutes?
Yeah, so we got through all those.
Alright,
We just did the budget.
He made a couple of amendments.
Yeah, made some amendments for February meeting.
Okay. Alright, so what are we on, budget?
Yep.
Yep.
Alright, so the budget, can you guys read that?
Yeah, I went through most of it.
Okay, so it's basically exactly what we went over in the meeting. And whatever notes I had on there, I made adjustments for whatever we had on there for the note adjustments. So overall, came up to 1.816498.26.
Is that on the,
That's for the total.
Water.
budget. No, that's the total budget.
that's the
total.
total number? Okay, and so,
Yeah. So for user fees and charges, that'll be 1.364004.05 if we round because Gene rounds everything. We'll be pulling 102,494 from reserve for debt. From system or sewer system development, 105,000, and from water system development, $120,000, and from retained earnings, $125,000. So just a few key things to point out. Everything else is pretty standard across the board. If you go down the far right-hand column, you'll see all the zeros. That's the change between the two, between last year and this year. You can see the highlighted portions that don't show up highlighted because I don't have a color printer, but you can see them kind of grayed.
And what is the changes on these?
So anything, you'll see this column.
Yeah.
If it's a zero, that means I just level funded. If there's a change, there's a difference.
Oh, okay, so it's level funding with the zero, okay.
Yeah. So the health insurance, I had to budget a little more because of, if we get all 3 positions filled, we need to budget for health insurance and not knowing what people will take if they take insurance. Electricity, I went up a little because the electricity rates are going a little crazy. Repair and maintenance, so it says it's up 67,000, but it's really up 164,000 because we had the previous year we had additional funds put in there at the 137 for additional projects. So we had 97,000. So if you look at that other sheet that I just gave you, that kind of gives you the breakdown of what was included in that. So I didn't print the one with my little notes on the side, so you have to bear with me through it. But so if you look at this page, Josie, and I put the
So these
The line
projects,
item
these
numbers.
projects on the right side of, that's,
though, I just kind of put a little bit of an explanation on there. So if you follow it, like I did the second sheet that has those line item numbers, the GL numbers
yeah.
with the titles. So that first one that's up 164,000. If you go on that second page and look at that top,
Yeah, that's
That top row?
Yeah, yeah.
you'll see that that was 2 actuators, the filter rehab. No, that's the fire panel for the 25. The SBR control panel upgrades was the 110, and then there's headwork explosion proof heater because that died and we need one. And unfortunately, it's explosion proof, so it's more
Yeah.
expensive and harder to get. Then a grip box for the headworks at 9,000, so that totals 164, which is the difference between our normal budget line item and that total budget line item.
It's up quite a bit.
Yeah, well, all this stuff's expensive. Like I said before, we've got dozens of little control things in there that one of them I went to get a replacement for was 18,000 for the one. And between all the different control things in there, there's probably 40 or 50 different ones. But it's because they're all obsolete, they're not making them anymore. So just trying to find them is difficult enough. But if we don't upgrade the panel, if we have a problem, we're dead in the water. So, and if you go down a little more, you'll see the special engineering. As we discussed before, I put 50,000 in the water and 50,000 in the sewer, and that's kind of just to have a line item marker in there, just so if something comes up. Last year there was a lot of fumbling around and trying to move things around, and some of those special projects, that was $97,000 worth in last year's budget, got moved around a little so that we had time to get the engineering done, so that we were eligible for the grants that we got to do all this work that's going on. Because if we weren't able to do that, those would have failed, and we never would have moved forward with any of those projects. So I said, let's just put money in there, and we'll agree not to touch it unless there's something like that, and then we just come to the board meeting and say, all right, yeah, go ahead and do it or not.
Well, that's that 30,000 you put in?
It's 50. My print's small, so you can't see it too well. Oh, you're not looking at the right sheet now.
Oh.
Now you're back to this
You're on
one.
this page now, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, we're gonna jump back and forth, just to mess with you.
Oh, okay, yep.
Synagro went up. I only went up 10,000 on Synagro. The reason I went up on that, I don't know if you guys read in the paper or saw all the stuff going on with Synagro, but I'm sure between their environmental fines and issues, just their cost in general was going up before all that. So I needed to put at least a little bit of a buffer in there to get us close, because we're really close on that line item anyway. It is the the single most expensive thing about the treatment plant. Then you go down to the next one that's a bigger chunk of money there, and it's the $30,000 for the Davis Street pump station, or for the Davis Street pump. As I discussed, it was several years ago, I said we should have a spare pump for that pump station. I've actually got one that's down right now. I got to pull it up and see what's wrong with it. But we don't have one on the shelf. There's a long lead time on them, and it's about $30,000 to buy one. So we should have one on the shelf. Let's see. That is it for the water, except I did raise the OPEB, as I explained last time at the budget meeting. The OPEB account, I went through it all. We're still way behind on where we should be. I think when I factored it what we were contributing, it would be like 40 years before we catch up. So I just raised that to 10,000 in each instead of 5,000 in each, just to try to get tracking on the right path. In a couple of years we'll go with the 10, or if you guys want to reduce it back to 5 next year, that's up to you. But my thought was we look at it for a few years, see how it's tracking, see if we're making any more headway, and make adjustments from there. So if we go to the next page, we'll be on the. Well, before we get to that, the sewer debt portion. I believe this might be the last year for the debt, or very close to it. I'll have to double check though, Gene. For some reason, in my head, I think this will be the last payments on those loans.
Yes, we stopped collecting quite a few years ago on that, right?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, because when I was going through everything, we had collected enough. So I went one year and calculated it all out to what we needed to collect to pay off the debt, and we adjusted that fee that last time we sent out for a billing cycle. And I think we were within like $1,000 or something on what we collected and what we owed. On the other side, same thing with the special engineering, the 50 there. The other ones that I have notes by
That
are just
special
notes from
engineering,
me.
is that like for Nod Street and stuff?
Yeah, so if something comes up that we didn't budget for, because I ended up with. So we started off with a contract to get started to do this Gilboa Street. We started off with a contract, and then it turned into a contract 1 with A, B, C, and D. So there was 4, and then it turned into contract 2, and then that turned into A, B, C, and D. And we ended up with 4 of them with A, B, C, and D. So there was 16 different combinations in that contract, just because we had to piece it all together to make that project to get to where we needed to get the grants. And we had no funding sources, so everything was just trying to move things around to make it work. I think we've got $750,000 already earmarked for the engineering going up North Street, so that's already been approved. 500 and something of that was a grant. So we've already started the test boring and the surveys and all that stuff. And that 750 doesn't include the survey, because the survey was paid for by one of the contractors, or a local company, to try to get that moving forward. So we did the boring on Friday, all the test bores, to determine what's in the ground, so we know what the excavations will be like.
Oh, all the way up?
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys are on Code Red or whatever, but yeah, so yesterday we finished. We had the last boring to do at the very end on North Street, and they punched the bore right through our AC main up on the end of North Street. So.
Oh, is that what the leak was?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So they were doing the boring and went through, and they said, "Yeah, we hit your pipe about 7 feet down." I'm like, "Well, my pipe should only be about 5 feet down." So we started digging, and they may have went 7, because they went through the top and the bottom and kept going. So.
Oh, okay.
So that's what was yesterday, and why we had no water at the top of North Street. But it was a very limited section that had no water, luckily. The valve on the top side of Colonial shut down, so it was only everything after Colonial. So we did manage to get that repaired. There was, when we were doing the excavation, we ran into a white PVC sewer pipe, 4-inch. No idea what it's for, because it's past where we have sewer, but it parallels the water line and goes right down with it. I don't know what it was. We were already in enough of a headache up there, so we didn't investigate it much. I was debating on cutting it open to see, but I didn't want it to turn into some other nightmare in the middle of that.
It's a 4-inch PVC line?
4-inch PVC. It was white. Said, PVC sewer pipe. But we don't use white on anything we do. That's more like a homeowner type pipe. Ours would be the blue or green, or green really. So I have no idea what that was for, but it was between the last house that's on and that last manhole, and was that McCullum that used to live at the end there, the horseshoe driveway.
Netarosik.
Netarosik, that's right. So between that last house and Netarosik's house.
Oh, okay.
No idea what it's for, no idea what it goes to. Something we'll have to probably get up there and
Oh,
investigate.
could it be a sewer line coming out of Netarosik's house?
They'd have to have a pump. They'd have to have a pump, 'cause they're
Unless that
downhill.
was from the old house. The old house used to sit right up at the road.
Oh,
You're right, there was a little house that used to be up at the road.
Yeah, that burned down.
Yeah. Just looking at it elevation wise, it doesn't seem like it would make it there,
Yeah.
but I'll have to investigate it to find out.
Mm.
But I know that sewer manhole is deep at the top of that hill. It's probably 20 feet down. Those aren't fun to go in, so. Alright, so I don't know what got me to that conversation. But other than that, everything was pretty level funded. One of the bigger items is the salary line items. But these salary numbers are with full staff if we get the other 3 positions filled. But overall, there's an increase of 26,000 on the water and 28,000 on the sewer. Those are round numbers. There's some change there. The big difference there is mostly with the comp reform that the town administrator is working on, and that takes into account what the anticipated rates would be if that passes town meeting. So if that doesn't pass town meeting, these numbers will come down.
yeah, we got it.
But if the numbers come down, then the chances of us will be just like the last 3 years or so, where we can't get people to come
Right.
work. So.
Yeah, we can't go down with the numbers, that's for sure.
So, in a nutshell, that's the budget. If there's any questions. So I've already presented this to FinCom, because they had to get their stuff to the select board for tonight. So I already presented it to them. I told the finance director that you guys have not finalized on this. She said, well, as long as it doesn't go up, then you're okay, and you can, you as a board can vote to reduce things, and then I can just do it like within the budget, reduce it here. And if it comes that we need the money, just come back to a meeting and get you guys to authorize to finish spending it or whatever. Or you can make a motion on the town floor and amend the numbers on the floor. But that's up to you guys.
Well, I don't see why we can't stick with these numbers. That's what you presented to the FinCom,
Yep.
and they approved it.
Yeah, but
Just had-
just
I
a
just had
disclaimer there is they rely on you guys to look at these numbers because it's an enterprise fund and we have to be self-sufficient.
Right.
So this is no taxpayer money here. This is all ratepayers, which is under your jurisdiction, not really theirs. So.
You said the difference on one side was 20 some odd thousand, and then the difference on the other side was another 20 some odd thousand.
So if you look at the very top, the top section there.
All right.
So which page are you
there's-
on? The first page?
Yeah. So there's the
The
oh,
28
and salaries. You're just talking salaries.
Just salaries,
Just
yeah.
all right. So I was going to say the difference is 274,000 from last year.
Oh,
You were just-
total?
Yeah. Total.
Yes, total is
budget.
274.
Yeah,
Higher.
okay.
But that should essentially account for, if you look down all those, that far column,
Right,
the
right.
far right,
Yeah, all the differences.
yeah.
Yep, yep. I get what you got going on. Well, I'd still like to see for this budget year, where we're at with the budget, how that's tracking.
Okay.
I'd still like to look at that.
I can print that out for you if you want it.
No, we don't need to do
Or
it
if you
now,
want me to
but
print
I
it
just-
before you go and you can
Yeah.
take it and review it.
Yeah.
But I can't say that's a great indicator because there's a lot of bills that aren't processed and a
No,
lot of
but I'd
things
just
that
like to see
yeah,
how it's
just so you can
tracking.
see how it's tracking.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know on the budget if you guys want to vote on that or what you want to do there.
Want to vote on it, Bob? Are you comfortable voting for it? Okay. So, make a motion that we approve the budget as presented for fiscal year 2024.
And second it, any discussion or anything?
I don't know if you want to put out the number just so it's being able to tie it back to that.
Fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $1,816,498.26.
All right, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So, project update. So we're, with the projects that are currently going on Gilboa Street and Northeast Main. Gilboa Street, all the force main is pretty much done. That was done the end of last year. We really wanted to get all that done to try to get through a winter and try to get as much settling as we can. So when we do full mill and overlay, you don't end up with settling in the trench. So we got all the sewer on those parts done. We still have a sewer manhole at the end down this end to tie into where the force main ties into the gravity. So we got a manhole there to replace. And then at the other end we have a manhole where the new gravity sewer comes down and the old gravity sewer ties in before it goes into the pump station.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the current one running with the existing, but once we get to the point the new pump station's in, the new pump station will be set, everything will be set up and ready to go, and then they'll decommission the old one. Well, they'll redo the manholes so that the gravity comes together and goes into the new station, and the force mains are all tied into a new valve vault. So there's the valve vault and the two manholes that need to be done, plus the pump station itself. So that'll
Now, are they off the road, those?
no, they'll be in the road. So I was through the 14 different meetings today, discussed that with Bob and Eric. We tried to get a hold of Ricciardi to try to explain to them because their timeline doesn't quite work with ours. So we need to push them a little more to get them to move quicker. And with those structures, I think we're going to push to try to make them use flow fill in the excavations that they do out in the road. That'll avoid any settling issues. So that'll solve our issue with them not getting it done prior to winter so that we can get through a winter for settling. So once those structures go in, like I said, we'll try to make them flow fill around the structure, whatever they excavate. So that way, fall, we can get all the paving done. Northeast Main has not been started yet. That's another one that's going to be starting. I forget what they said on their time frame. I want to say May.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look at it again. We've had so many emails going back and forth between all the contracts. So I want to say it was May. They want to start the pipe, get all the pipe put in, compacted, trench patched.
And where is this?
Up on Northeast Main, so from Davis Street, so where you just come down the hill,
Mm-hmm.
from where Northeast Main turns to Davis, starting there all the way to the Uxbridge line. And that'll be a new 12-inch going all the way to there, and that's going to connect between the
Is there going to
CRH.
be water and sewer going up there?
No, just water.
Just water?
Yeah, we'd have to put a pump station in order to get sewer over there. But that will go up to the Uxbridge line, and then it'll kind of follow the Uxbridge line in Douglas all the way to Gilboa Street, and we'll come across where that bridge is going in with the water to loop it. So Gilboa Street and Northeast Main will then be looped.
Are they hanging the pipe off the side of the bridge?
No, it's going in the bridge.
Going in the bridge.
So they've got, it's a steel beam bridge, and then they've got, everybody calls it something different. Some of them are calling diaphragms, some of them are calling stiffeners, but there's sheets that go across with the holes cut out to run the pipe through in the middle of it, and it'll be insulated. But yeah, it's
So it's gonna run under the bridge.
it's inside the bridge, so it'll be
Inside.
within the beams. So I don't know if you guys have driven by there and saw the concrete pours that they've done.
Hmm.
So the abutments are going in now. Once the abutments are in, they'll run the steel beams across. Once they get those in and all that bolted up, then the pipes will go through. And then once they get the pipes through and everything's all set, they'll put the decking on the bridge. So I want to say they're planning on mid-May to be
Sewer and water going under the bridge.
in the
right?
bridge, yeah. Sewer, water, gas, and electric.
So, yeah, okay, yeah,
All
that's
in the
right, all
bridge.
4 of them, yeah.
Although the electric, I think right now the plan is to come from Northeast Maine, but they're putting the to accommodate for electric in the bridge in case they can't get enough electricity from that side and had to come in from this side. So they are making the provisions for it. Yeah, I think there was discussion they were going to have a concrete wall, abutments and stuff, but Bob and Eric pushed to get the form liner ones so that it looked like granite blocking. So if you drive by, you'll see it now because they stripped that the other day.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it looks good. He was trying to get it to somewhat match the look of the dam.
Yeah.
It's all that old granite block to build the dam. They've got the first abutment poured. They're going to be doing the wing walls next, I think, on that side of the river. And then, I should say it's this side of the river because we're on this side of the river. Then they'll start doing, I think they just finished all the micro piles and all that stuff to put the threaded, it's like 2-inch threaded rod coming up to hold everything down for the bridge. That should be,
That bridge gonna be 2-lane?
yeah, it's like straight on this side, and then this side comes out and goes off like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of designed it so it would be more of a right-hand turn only, to try to keep truck traffic out of town.
Right, yeah.
So that's the intent anyway. So that's that project. We got engineering. I think they're probably halfway through doing the Davis Street engineering. That was another site readiness grant that Bob and the town got. That was the $314,000 grant. So they're doing the engineering design going down Davis Street for water and sewer. See, they came out and went over some preliminary things with me last week. So we went through all that. A few things that were probably going to change. Then we just started like I said, the borings up here. Hit our water pipe on the N1. Then
Were there any surprises with the borings?
no, everything looked pretty good. Yeah, we didn't really hit any ledge or anything. So I still know there's some ledge in an area up there just because we had a break and I dug down to it and the pipe was sitting on ledge. So it was only like 2 feet deep. So we know they hit ledge because they didn't want to dig anymore.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been down another.
There is a
2.5
ledge up
feet.
in there?
Just down here. I don't remember whose house was the little red one on this side that they tore down.
I forget who lived there. The little red house that was in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the service that went to that one was the one that leaked, and when we dug down to get it, luckily Ernie's nice and slow with the machine, because if it was the guy from CJP, he would have ripped the pipe right out. Yeah, because it was only down 2 feet, and Ernie's like, I felt something. I'm like, well, it can't be the water main, it's only 2 feet deep. And I went down and shoveled anyway, and yeah, it was right there. So, so Ernie does do very well with. I'm always yelling that he doesn't jack the throttle up and get moving, but he probably saves us a lot of headaches. So
Yeah, Ernie's a good operator, that's for sure.
yeah. So I mean, you guys attended the last meeting for the ARPA funds. They authorized us to use that money to do the Depot Street. So I talked with Matt. I got to send a letter to the selectmen because I want to. So we had discussed putting that money in the budget, to budget the engineering, but the engineering was, I think, 280 something thousand. If I do it through the budget, I gotta wait till July 1st before we can start. So I went and talked to Matt, and there was one selectman there. They seemed to be on board, but they wanted me to write a letter to the selectmen to kind of give them how I was laying it out so that they could understand and make a decision if they're okay with that. So my proposal was, whatever this costs, we as the water sewer department have to fund the balance on whatever is not available after the money that they allowed us to use from the ARPA funds. But we had originally said we'll pay for the engineering, but when I went and talked to them, I said, why don't we use the ARPA funds, because I don't need to go through town meeting for that, and we can start right away. So if I use the ARPA funds up front, it just means there's less money on the project end, and we just have to fund the back end instead of the front end. So they seem to be on board with that, because if I do it that way, I can get the surveying done, which is kind of the majority of the time to get all that done. If we get the surveying done, they can start working on the engineering. If I can get them to at least establish a material list, we can do like we did on this first project and put the material out first, because it's still 40 to 50 weeks out for material.
Still, huh?
Yeah, so 40 to 50 weeks for pipe. If I can do it that way we did the first time we did it just because it was the only way we could do it time-wise. This time we're not as rushed, because that project isn't on the tight time frame that these other ones have been. So if we do it that method, we can put it out to bid, get the pipe secured. Once we have the pipe, we get an estimated delivery date. We can put the project out to bid, and that takes the guessing and all that out of the hands of the contractor, and any contractor that knows what they're doing would inflate that number a little bit just to cover all bases and make sure that they're not going to lose money on the project. So if we can take away that unknown, they know their labor costs. Most companies that are reputable understand how many feet a day they can probably get in. So they really just need to figure out their labor on what it's going to cost to install it. So
They don't have to worry about the cost of it.
right, so that's what I mean. They can sharpen the pencils a lot more if we take out that unknown portion. Because
Right.
anyone ordering pipe right now, they're telling you, here's today's price, but it's 40 weeks before it ships, and that's not what you're going to pay. We're gonna tell you when we ship it what you're going to pay, and if you don't want it then, we'll sell it to somebody else because other people want it. So, like I said, that's a real uncertainty for a contractor to order pipe and not know what he's paying for it before he puts a bid in. So I'm sure they're going to add some padding in there to make sure they cover their costs. So I think hopefully like
But
this
piping's
project.
still a problem, huh? Because everything else seems to be like, tractors and lawn equipment, almost anything is pretty much available now.
Yeah, but the problem is everybody was buying all that stuff when the stimulus money was out there. They get those big checks. Oh, I got this much money. I always wanted a tractor. They go buy a tractor because they get a lump sum money that they can afford a tractor now. Pipe is huge money anyway. These are, it's $8.5 million project, so that's not like the people that got stimulus money.
Right.
But there's still grant money out there for infrastructure projects. So everybody's still trying to do infrastructure projects while there's grant money. And on top of that, everybody was looking at it saying, oh, we can't take the chance to not have pipe in stock if we have a break or whatever. So a lot of the bigger towns and cities were ordering a year's worth, where we used to only have, a couple weeks worth on hand. And if you broke something and you had to go repair it, you just order another one and it was in next week. That's not the case anymore. So if you break something and you use your stock, and now you're a year out to get more stock, if you have another break, you're screwed. So, like Worcester, they came out and said it. Yeah, we ordered a year's worth where we used to only order month to month. So that enhanced the problem with the supply chain issues and
Right.
everything else. So it just kind of multiplied it, and we're still feeling it. So, but like I said, if we can take our time to do it right, I think we can get a much more favorable bid, like we did this round. I think we came in 200 or 2 point something million under so far, somewhere around there. So yeah, everything worked out really favorable on this between the grants and what we did on savings because of the way we bid it. We got a lot done for nothing. I think that's about it for projects right now. Any other questions?
No, I'm good. You good? All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:55.
Second it, all in favor?
Aye.